Welcome to DigiFin 22. It is a real joy to see you all here, and that in presence, in person, and not behind the screen. What a joy. It's good to see you. Welcome. Before we get started, let me make some short remarks. Let's just wait for everybody to come in. Let me make some short remarks on this event so we do have a common understanding. It is not mandatory anymore to wear a mask, as we all know, but we recommend to do so whenever you're not able to keep the minimum distance. So when you're chatting, when you're having a conversation, either step back a little or do put on a mask in order to make it a good and safe experience, and especially a good and safe memory for all of us once we go home. As to today's program, it is diverse, it is up to date, and it is a lot. So let's get started right away. Before we do so, just a quick notice. It might be a real benefit for you to download the event app, Swapcard. On that, you find the program that you can attend today. We do have 3 stages. This is transformation stage. There's another stage called innovation stage downstairs in the back. And then there's a workshop stage, which is on this floor in the back. So you are welcome and invited to switch in between these 3 stages whenever you feel like it or find an interesting session. And also that app gives you a real good tool to connect with other people, with other attendees, and with the partners that are here today. So that's for the internal use. And if you want to tell the world that you are here today on your social media accounts, you may use the hashtag DigiFin22. You're always welcome to do that. So, my name is Katrin Neumann. I am not only here to bring some color to the conference, but also for hosting this conference. And it is my great pleasure to pass over to Fabian Wesemann now. Fabian is CFO and co-founder of wefox Group and also member of board at Bitkom. And of course, he wants to welcome you today as well to DigiFin 22. Welcome and good morning. Fabian Wesemann.
Yeah, thanks very much. Great to see each other again. Right, I'm generally still used to just seeing people in front of screens. It has advantages and disadvantages, that's for sure. But I think especially in conferences like this, it's about exchange and it's about seeing each other. It's around the speeches, but it's around the conversation. So also a big welcome from my side. I think we're going to have an exciting day ahead. We have lots of different speakers that I'm very much looking forward to, from banks, insurtechs, politicians, central banks, right? So everything is going to be here. And I think only with the combination out of all of these different stakeholders, we will really be able to have an impact. That's why I'm also happy to listen to, after my speech, also to the speech of Professor Dr. Wuermeling, who we also had a quick insight already yesterday. And I think before we go into this, I also want to thank you from MasterCard for making this possible, right? That we're meeting here today. And I want to start actually for all the people that have been yesterday quickly at the event. There was a question asked by Lea around if there's one thing that you could change around the ecosystem and the stakeholders, what would that be? And Mario Brandenburg said, I don't know if he's here today, but he said, it's about the German angst, the German fear. And that made me reflect actually a little bit about this and thought I actually can connect a lot with that thought. And I would just phrase it slightly different. I would phrase it that it's around courage, right? Everything that we do every single day is around courage, especially in these times right now that we are facing with volatile stock markets, with all kinds of impacts coming from all sides, all kinds of challenges that we're facing with the war in Ukraine, right? It's around the people that are courageous, right? So what does courage actually mean? Courage means you don't accept it the way it is. You're ready to take the boundaries to another level. You're not accepting that if people tell you it's impossible, that it's impossible, right? But this is actually your starting point. If someone tells you no, then you know that's not the end of the conversation. That's the beginning of the conversation, right? And I think we as a economy, as a society, need to change. And I think that's about all stakeholders. And it starts, from my perspective, with the media. The media is the driving force, because I saw something that I thought was extremely courageous, and that was of Angela Merkel. Angela Merkel last year at Easter called a lockdown just a couple of days before Easter break. It was completely impossible, right? She received so much headwind from it. And what did she do? She had the courage to stand in front of 80 million people and say, I did a mistake. I did something wrong. And I was like, wow. She didn't just do that. She actually admitted a mistake. And I was like, wow, this is so powerful. And this could be a first moment to actually drive some change. And what happened afterwards? She was destroyed. She was destroyed by the media. Oh, she did mistakes. She didn't think about it. Why could she react like this? She's in such an important role, right? Why did she go about this? And I was like, no, why? We need to support the courageous. And we all need to learn from this. We need courageous people. We need founders like us who jump into an adventure in not knowing how to go about something, but really just starting and having the courage to not know it all, but knowing that you're going to figure it out in the way. We need venture capitalists, right, who are much more courageous. We have raised almost €1 billion over the last 7 years with wefox. We have €0 from any German investor, 0. No one has ever invested with us because we've always set the boundaries super high. We said we're going to become a €100 billion company. And that made people in Germany say like, oh, they're crazy. Yeah? They're crazy, right? So people need to have courage. We need to have courage of traditional players that are here today. You need to have the courage to either go on the journey of digitization yourself, or you need to have the courage to work with a company that's small, right, and really start on something. We need to have end customers that are courageous enough to have a brand, right, to work with a company that maybe doesn't have a brand yet, right? We need to have politicians, unlike Jens Spahn, right, who we offer help to and say, hey, Jens, we can build you a real functioning Corona warn app and not this, I don't know if you should call it a solution, right, but this thing that we have right now, right, which is built with incumbent players. Right, but take the courage to say like, okay, I'm going to build it with young companies who build nothing else but apps every single day, right? And maybe it doesn't work, maybe it doesn't, right? But probably the solution would have been significantly better. So we need people that have the courage, we need politicians that have the courage, we need to have supervisors that have the courage to really drive something forward. And here I this morning listened to a song from Contra K, he's a German rapper, yeah? And the song was called Erfolg ist kein Glück. And the quote that I want to make from this is, nur wer Angst hat vor dem Fall, muss sein ganzes Leben kriechen. Erfolg ist kein Glück, sondern nur das Ergebnis von Blut, Schweiß und Tränen. Das Leben zahlt alles mal zurück, es kommt nur ganz darauf an, was du bist, Schatten oder Licht. So, if you're scared of failure, then you will need to crawl on the ground your entire life. Right? Because with courage, you're putting yourself out there. You're putting yourself out there and people will say something negative about you. Yeah, and? So what? Right? So you need to continue and you need to decide kind of what way you go. And success is no luck, but the result of blood, sweat, and tears. And you have to choose whether you're on the shadow or on the light side. Right? And I think we need to all really learn from this. And so I think we as an ecosystem, we must address the challenges that we are facing. I think us as from the industry side, we need to communicate in a way that people understand us. The same way also goes to politicians, because politicians are really good in speaking, right? But we need to also see then the actions, right? And I think this combination out of learning from the digitized kind of area, from the economy, but also learning from the politicians around think to other ways. I think if we merge this together, then we will actually be able to build something much, much stronger. And that's why I'm a strong believer that it's possible to build regulatory frameworks, right, that build trust and provide a common set of rules. So I'm really interested in what Professor Dr. Würmerling now has to say in terms of how we can, also to quote Mario then again from yesterday, how we can move us from an industry or from a society of 80 million elderly people sitting at home with bad internet, right, to a real digitized economy. Thank you.